Hello, my name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Carnegie Training here in Japan. We have a request from clients about how to help their Japanese team members be more memorable, be more impressive in meetings they have, either be they in the meeting room meetings with visiting VIPs, or be it on the video hook up to the rest of the world, or the telephone conference, typical scenarios. And it reminded me the problem was something I saw in a cartoon in the Japan Times. There's a cartoonist called Roger Dahl. He does cartoons for the Japan Times. He did this particular cartoon. It was an English conversation class with the foreign teacher and the Japanese student. And the foreign teacher asked the Japanese student, "How was your weekend?" Then the Japanese student in the cartoon, in these different boxes of the cartoon, goes in this very elongated, very complex internal discussion about which particular grammatical structure would be correct here. Should I use this one? Should I use that one? And in the end, says nothing. And then eventually the English teacher gets frustrated and says, "Well, I guess nothing happened," and then gives up. And I thought that cartoon captured very well one of the problems, that when we have those sort of situations and we want our Japanese team members to contribute, they often get stuck because they're thinking too deeply about, "Oh, I have to have the perfect structure, the perfect linguistic structure here, because if I say something that's incorrect, people laugh at me. It'll be very bad repercussion for my reputation in the organization, so I'm better to say nothing." And this is what happens. They say nothing. So actually what happens is people get the wrong impression about Japan. Oh, the Japanese are no good, they can't contribute, they don't have anything to say, they don't have any ideas, they don't know anything about the subject. Not the case. It's this shyness, it's this fear of failure, it's this perfection pursuit that Japanese have, which is actually holding them down. Now, I suffered the same thing when I started learning Japanese here in 1979. Japanese is a very difficult language, very difficult for me anyway. And I'd be in a conversation and I'd be thinking of a sentence I was going to put together, and then just as I was ready to launch forth with my Japanese sentence, whole conversation point shifted, and now my sentence was no longer relevant. If I jumped in, even with I didn't have such a perfect sentence, I could have contributed. I could have been part of the conversation. And I think this is the issue for Japanese people, to actually be able to jump in there, don't worry about perfection, worry about communication. And this is what we do. We have a course called Confident English. Now, this is not eikaiwa, this is not English conversation. This is about how to express what you want to say in English with confidence, so people will regard you and listen to you. So yes, of course we do correction of pronunciation. Yes, of course we do grammatical correction. Yes, of course we work on expanding the vocabulary. But it's not English conversation. This is working on the basis that the Japanese team members already have enough grammar. And I can tell you, the Japanese people I talk to know more about the English grammar structures than I know. I'm a native speaker, because when we're at school, grammar, English grammar, how boring was that? But they know it because they really have it drummed into them at school. And they have enough vocabulary to express themselves. We are not needing linguistic perfection here. We are needing contribution and we're needing input. So we are after communication, and linguistic perfection and communication, they're not the same thing. I've given over maybe 300-400 speeches in Japanese over the last 20 odd years. My Japanese is not perfect. I'm not a native speaker of Japanese. And I discovered at a point that even though my Japanese wasn't perfect, and even though I made mistakes, I could have rapport. I could have people laughing at my jokes. I could have people understanding, nodding, and agreeing with what I was saying. I was communicating. And it wasn't because I was perfect in Japanese, but I was able to have that passion. I was able to have the ability to deliver and to convince people of what I was saying. Japanese colleagues can do exactly the same thing in English. All they need is some training to do that. And we take elements from our high impact presentations course, phenomenal presentations course, and we bring that together to create Confident English, to help people take what they already have, the grammatical structures, the vocab they already have, and then really drive that with lots of coaching, lots and lots of coaching. And so they get coached, and they get practice and coached and practice, and their confidence just goes right up. So when your colleagues come and do the Confident English 3 weeks of training, 1 class per week, they will really experience a big change. And you will notice it straight away in meetings. They will be contributing. They will be putting their ideas on the table. They will be pouring on the insights. They'll be adding value to the discussion and value to the organisation. And that's what we all want, isn't it? So don't let overseas headquarters misunderstand Japan. Japanese people are smart. They've got things to say. They're just perfectionists, and sometimes they hold themselves back. Because of that, Confident English, we unleash everything they've got and make them everything they can be and do it really well in English, so that in the audience, on the telephone, on the video, or in live, they go, wow, yeah, Japan, really doing a good job. So please, send your people to Confident English and change the game and make sure that you can take your organisation right the way up.